Hello, everybody. This is part 2 of the Colton Underwood Good Morning America cover story that we are covering here this morning. My name is Dave Neal. I am a stand-up comic and host Bachelor at Recap a Guy's Review. As you know, a lot of the coverage involving Bachelor can be very irreverent. A lot of humor and social norms picked apart by watching a bunch of hooligans compete for love. This is not that case. This is a very deep and serious cover story here involving Colton Underwood coming out of the closet as a gay man in society. As we know, Colton was the lead of The Bachelor, where dozens of women competed for his love. He chose Cassie Randolph, and after they broke up, he stalked her and was emotionally abusive. He apologizes for that in this interview, but this interview, it's chopped apart. This is how it works, guys. I called it the other day. I called this yesterday. Good Morning America interviews usually last no more than 3 minutes. I'm not expecting too much. Interviewing on a roof parking lot is kind of weird. And then I said, my guess is they do a small part on Good Morning America and then air the rest on primetime. And that's exactly what they're doing. Now, don't get me wrong. This is 13 minutes of an hour-long interview. I guess the rest will be aired tonight. So while I'm trying to hold him accountable to addressing his issues with Cassie Randolph, maybe that'll be on the primetime version. Maybe that's a primetime. This is just what's so garbage about mainstream media is that, you know, you got to sell your ads. You got to break it up. You got to show the 7 o'clock morning moms and the 8 p.m. nightline dinner dads. It's just like, can we air the interview already? Can I just understand what's going on? All right, let's watch the final portion of the interview. If you're catching this first, just go back one video. I'll put a link wherever. Go back one video and watch the coverage of the first half of the Good Morning America interview. Here's the coverage of the second half. After I play this 5-minute clip, I will share what Chris Harrison has to say about it, some other tweets, and we'll get some of that coverage. But here we go.
More of our exclusive with the Bachelor star, Colton Underwood, finally admitting to the world, and more importantly to himself, the truth about his sexuality, how it has impacted his relationship with God, and what he would say to others about speaking their truth.
There he is.
I'm still the same Colton everybody met on TV. I'm still the same Colton to my friends and my family. I just happen to be able to share with people now all of me, and I am proud of that. You know, I am proud to be gay.
For former Bachelor Colton Underwood, the journey of defining and embracing who he is has not been easy.
One thing about being labeled the Virgin Bachelor is I fully was a virgin before that, and I could never give anybody a good enough answer of why I was a virgin. The truth is I was a Virgin Bachelor because I was gay, and I didn't know how to handle it.
When you're not living your full self, and you're always, like, not necessarily on guard, but there's a heaviness to it. How did you manage that?
I didn't manage it well. I put myself in really bad situations on purpose. I put myself in these situations so I could try to force myself to be straight. I still would say thank you for making me the Bachelor, but we got there in a roundabout way of like, finally I am healthy, but I am healthy and happy because of moments like that.
Were there specific things that you were able to do this past year to help you get to this point?
I bought a home in Denver. I settled down there. I have my family there. I got closer to God this year, and I know even saying that now as a gay man, people can be like, how is that even possible? And it's like, I don't think unless you understand, I used to wake up in the morning and pray for him to take the gay away. I used to pray for him to change me, and I can now wake up and pray to God, and I can actually have faith, and I can go into church and be present, not have it be conditional on this topic of take this off my plate and I'll still worship you and I'll still be there. You know, it's more, I'm closer to him, and that's helped, to be honest with you.
Colton says he knew he was different when he was 6 years old. What was it that made you, at that tender age, think that you were different?
When I was around other people, I just felt different. And I didn't know what that meant. And I didn't know, like, am I more emotional than the other boys in my class? That's a lot of thinking to do at such a young age, of like trying to figure out what that was. And then in high school, it all made sense. I mean, I was more attracted to boys and the men than I was the women and the females, and I was always told by society, that's wrong, don't do that.
Today, Colton knows he's free to love who he wants and is taking it day by day. What are you looking for? What are you looking for in a partner?
I still have a lot to work through, and I'll just go on record saying, like, I still haven't had like an emotional connection with a man. I've never allowed myself to, and it's never been sort of in my cards to let myself get there, and I want to more than anything, and I'm looking for someone who can push me and challenge me in all the great ways.
There's probably a young person, probably maybe a young football player, who's listening to you. What do you say to somebody, anyone, who is struggling to speak their truth as you did?
I still have a long ways to go. I'm still learning. But if I had to go back and give anybody advice, I mean, you're gonna get through it, is what I would tell myself. Keep fighting for you, keep choosing you every morning. And when the time's right and you're ready, do it on your own time.
And that's exactly what Colton has done. And I got to tell you, I spent a little bit over an hour with him yesterday. And the difference between when I first saw him and when I said goodbye, just again, the relief of speaking his truth, of expressing himself, giving the reasons why, God, church, and football. Mm-hmm. And I shared with him something that my mother said when I told her about my sexuality, that I'm gay. And she said, God loves you because of who he is, not because of anything you do or don't do. Mm. And that is something that a lot of Christian gays struggle with. When you say that people look to you and say, how can you be a Christian and how can you be gay? And that's part of the reason why Colton was so reluctant
well, it seems
to come
make
forward.
him a stronger Christian according to his own testimony.
Yes, now he says he's more present when he's in church. It has helped him, and he had that stronger relationship. But I appreciated the fact that, and I didn't want to do it on Zoom. I wanted to do this conversation in person like we did. And you can see more of my conversation with Colton tonight on Nightline here on ABC.
There it is. Got to go watch the rest tonight. We got to pull all the clues together. God forbid they give us one full conversation. It's almost like if they had the bandwidth of something like the internet where they could just put the whole conversation. Wouldn't that be nice? Maybe they'll do that once they air it on Nightline and get all their ad revenue out of the way. But I digress. Robin's she's a person who has to deliver this interview. She came out to the media, I'm sure she was out within her community, but she came out in 2013 with a Facebook post. It's kind of a weird thing that people have to come out if they're famous enough. I used to stand in on a TV show called White Collar, and I would stand in for Matt Bomer. Matt Bomer was openly gay within his community, but I guess he wasn't a celebrity enough to need to come out to the public eye. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? He's gay? Because he was like a beautiful looking man. I mean, he's beautiful. Google the guy. Wow. I mean, you know what I mean? And one of the nicest people I've ever met, which is not important to this story. But it's a weird kind of thing where I don't know if it's that the public demands it, but everyone's unique. Everyone has their own journey, and we shouldn't have to be in a place where you have to come out. Obviously, with this conversation, it's unique in that he was the Bachelor, a show that, for 25 seasons has been a heterosexual dating show. If they want to move it to make it bisexual or homosexual, I'm all on board. I'm all on board on watching that season. But as far as it is right now, the show is probably a little bit behind the times. They just had their first Black Bachelor. So after 25 seasons, they're a little bit behind the times. There's been one or two contestants that have been by on the show, but never the lead. The lead's always been heterosexual, or at least we thought. Now Colton comes out. So very interesting stuff. Chris Harrison here breaks his silence, which is very interesting because he, of course, in a different dramatic Bachelor move, had stepped aside due to turmoil and backlash caused from his interview with Rachel Lindsay. That's a whole nother issue. If you're not on board with it, Google it. But Chris Harrison has been pretty much silent over there in Texas, kind of avoiding the media and avoiding social media since his apology. Chris says, very proud of you today, Colton Underwood. Happy to see you stand up and openly live your truth. You have my love and support, my friend. To be honest, for Chris Harrison to post this, it's actually a smart move. It's a good post to make because it's one thing to criticize Chris Harrison if he comes back on social media, sharing some stupid photo of the brioche he had for lunch. It's another thing to go support your friend and be an ally to the community. We also have, let's see if I can find this. I might have lost it here. Boy, where did it go? I had a tweet. Let's read a few tweets that I saw. Someone had posted, just watch Colton's interview. It's sad he has to be so apologetic. What's he sorry for? Why don't we talk about all the systems, including shows like The Bachelor and the rest of the media, that force a narrative that being gay is so different? That's who should be apologizing. And of course, he probably wasn't aware of what Colton was apologizing for, which is probably Colton could have made it more clear. Missing from this conversation, the role of program. Okay, what's he sorry for? Maybe for using Cassie, stalking her, harassing her. I'm happy for his coming out story, but he also put that girl through hell. He is apologetic because he stalked and abused his ex-girlfriend. That's the most succinct way I've seen anyone put it. He stalked and abused his ex-girlfriend. Maybe that was because of the pain he was feeling. It's hard to unpack and differentiate between whatever personal pain he felt swallowing his emotions versus whatever character traits he has with an addictive personality, love, purity culture, whatever it may be, codependency. God knows I don't know the answers there. Here's a statement from the executive producers of the Bachelor franchise. We are so inspired by Colton Underwood's courage to embrace and pursue his authentic self. As firm believers in the power of love, we celebrate Colton's journey in the LGBTQIA plus community every step of the way. And then we have here just a reminder that if your response to Colton Underwood coming out is a condescending, we knew, you're scaring closeted people and dismissing what was almost certainly a hard journey. Be kind and not snarky. Right below that, I disagree with your opinion. When someone says we knew, they're saying that even though we had an idea, we still wanted to be your friend. And now that you confirmed it, we still want to remain friends. It's a way to show support and comfort by normalizing it, to which the original tweet responded, here's a gay person telling you it can be harmful and hurtful to hear. If your response to a request for kindness and understanding is, I disagree, well, that's on you. Well, here's the point. You gotta be very careful with like this sort of subject. I think the best place to operate is to celebrate people that speak their authentic self, that come out of the closet and share who they really are. Celebrate that. The issue with Cassie is a separate issue. We'll see if he addresses it tonight on Nightline. Please subscribe to my channel if you would like to get my reaction to all of that. I will be very critical if Robin doesn't press into that topic. I will be very critical if she doesn't address the wake caused by Colton Underwood's speedboat of destruction, which was planting a tracking device on his ex's car, harassing her through unknown phone numbers, real psychotic stuff. So if she doesn't ask those questions and they don't air that, well, you can't have the conversation to coming out without talking about what went down within the last year. You don't get a pass. It's kind of like Kevin Spacey. Obviously, Kevin Spacey's issues were different, but Kevin Spacey kind of came out of the closet. Everyone knew he was gay, but he came out of the closet after all of the predatory Me Too issues that came out. And it's like, hold on, table that convo. We're not done with you here. So I'm not comparing Colton to Kevin in the crime that was committed, but with Colton, there was a crime committed. You cannot put a tracking device on somebody else's car. That is illegal, and you can face up to a year in prison in California for that, which we know after having covered this issue, the temporary restraining order, and this and that. It makes you wonder if Colton, and again, maybe it's not even my place to wonder, but it does make you wonder if Colton came out to Cassie and she dropped the charges knowing he was going to be sharing his side of the story moving forward. We don't know. Kudos to Cassie for moving on with her life. She's just getting her master's degree, whatever she's getting, master's degree, speech pathology, something like that. She bought a home. She's, kudos to her. Wish her all the best. But this issue, there's just more to the story. He said he prayed to take the gay away. He said, just real gut wrenching to think of someone, because a lot of times we'll look at a guy like Colton and we'll see a 6'5", strong, good-looking man, played a little professional football, made his money, bachelor, he's got the fame, and we see this guy. It's hard to have the empathy to see young Colton, the 6-year-old Colton, the 10-year-old Colton praying, please, God, don't make me gay. That's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking to think that this isn't necessary. We need to look at the youthful side of people in that they're just adults trying to, make amends for whatever pressures and issues that were put onto them as kids. And in doing that, we mess up other people. We mess up our kids. We mess up our friends. We what happened with Cassie? She's got to deal with him. It's complicated. He said he's closer to God this year, and he used to pray to take the gay away. And then he also said he's never had an emotional connection with a man. Hey, that's on you. That's on you, Colton, to run at your own pace. No pressure there. You want to go on a date with a guy? Great. You want to take time to find yourself? Great. You want to get on Grindr and go do what you need to do. Find yourself. I applaud you for taking this step. One of my greatest and fondest memories living in New York City was at a gay bar in Chelsea. Chelsea's a very gay-friendly neighborhood. And I was at a gay bar with some friends, and, drag queen on stage, karaoke night, standard New York City, right? And 23rd Street, 20th, whatever it was. And there's a guy there, and he brought his dad. And the drag queen does like an announcement, like, Steve's over here, and he brought his dad to a gay bar for the first time. Everyone give up. People were crying. The dad, it was an emotional sight to see. Because you had a dad that wanted to be there for his son, or maybe didn't. Maybe I'm projecting. Maybe the dad was dismissive of his son. But either way, bringing the dad along to say, hey, this is my life. These are my friends. This is where I'm at. This is what we do. By shining light into what used to be, the gay part of town was this part of town. You had to go to these underground clubs. That's the scary side of things. I had the privilege, when you talk about empathy and putting yourself in other people's shoes, it's very hard to do when you can't, when you don't know exactly what people have gone through. I had the privilege of working on just background, which is extra work on the show. It was a miniseries on HBO called The Normal Heart. And it was about the HIV crisis in the early 1980s, before they even knew what AIDS was. Gay men were dying left and right. They didn't know how it was contracted. There were hotlines being set up. And I got to work on scenes where you got to see these conversations be reenacted and played out. I never even watched the movie because I was just in the middle of it. This movie was shot when gay rights was actually coming up about 8 or 9 years ago, when gay rights, when there was actually new rights are still coming about and still don't exist in certain parts of the country. And there's countries where you're killed if you're gay. So this issue is not something that is completely normalized, but in The Normal Heart, you had Julia Roberts, Mark Ruffalo, Matt Bomer, the guy from Big Bang Theory, Parsons. You had all these amazing, talented actors acting out scenes where there was just despair. There was hopelessness. Ryan Murphy directed and wrote, this, and your jaws dropping, kind of reliving this moment from 30 years ago, this pain, this suffering, and having nowhere to go. Not having not being able to be open in a society, and how dangerous that can be. And even 30 years later, these issues aren't completely normalized, because you have to have an interview to say you're gay. For everyone out there who might be in the closet, or may not know what's out there for themselves, just know whatever you think however you think you'll be received. Most people are so worried about their own lives that they're not always worried about yours. So whatever harsh and harm you think the world's going to give you, chances are it's kind of fabricated in your head, and you will be received. You might not be received from certain people that have their own issues, but there's a very large community waiting with open arms for you to come out. And if you're friends with somebody who's coming out of the closet, just do your best to listen to them and take the reins with whatever they want you to do. Be supportive. Be there for you. Colton's dad, kudos to him. He was supportive of his son. He was saying, I'm here for you. What do you want me to do? My only question with all this, and I get it, I get this ABC incestuous family. The Bachelor's on ABC, so then you got to go to Good Morning America. Then you go to Good Morning America, so then you got to go to Nightline. I get all that. I would much prefer like a 3-hour podcast where it's just a conversation that's not, where you don't have to weigh in, like, is there a monetary thing being exchanged here? Or are we platforming this guy who is abusive to his ex? There's still a lot of issues with that. I'm going to wait to hear the final part of this interview before I kind of give my overall thoughts about it, because I am going to be very critical if the Cassie Randolph situation is not addressed. So Robin said after the interview that her mom told her, God loves you because who he is, not because of anything you do or don't do. So I wish everyone out there the ability to feel that sort of peace, whether you believe in a God or if you don't, that the world is a kind place. There is a loving energy that I wish we all could tap into, and do your best, as I will do my best, to ignore the negative energy and just rise up to the positive. And congratulations, Colton Underwood. Part 2 came out of the closet, and more to be said. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think, and leave a voicemail, 401-213-9828. Leave a voicemail, and I will be playing that voicemail this afternoon, hearing your thoughts. Keep it under a minute, and I will talk to you later. Bye now. Keep it kind in the comments, please.